Have you ever felt like life has been punishing you endlessly, as if everything is against you? Good. Because the truth is, it is, but not to destroy you, to forge you. This video is not an accident. It appears only when the universe knows you're finally ready to hear what weak men cannot handle. You have been lied to. From the moment you opened your eyes to this world, they told you that if you were good, the world would be good to you. That if you followed the rules, stayed kind, stayed honest, stayed innocent, the rewards would come. But let me ask you this, where are your rewards? Where is your justice? Where is your peace? You know the answer already, don't you? You've watched the liars rise, the selfish thrive. You've seen the manipulators get praised while you sit in silence, betrayed by a world you tried to honor. And now, something inside you begins to burn, not with rage, but with realization. Maybe it was never about innocence. Maybe the universe does not respond to your goodness. Maybe it responds only to your readiness. Because here's the brutal truth. The universe rewards the prepared mind, not the innocent one. You see, innocence is a liability in a world ruled by power. Innocence is a target, a light that draws predators. They don't admire it. They don't protect it. They consume it. And still, the knaves sit waiting, hoping someone will see how pure they are and hand them the keys to a kingdom built on blood and strategy. It doesn't work like that. When you were young, they told you to dream big. But they didn't tell you that dreams without strategy become delusions. They told you to trust people, but they didn't tell you that most people wear masks even when they say, "I love you." They told you to be yourself, but they didn't tell you that the world only respects versions of you that are carved by discipline and dressed in strength. You thought you were ready because your heart was pure. But the universe does not care about the purity of your heart. It cares whether your mind has seen through the illusions, whether your spirit has been forged in betrayal, silence, and observation. You thought the test was about patience. No, the test was about awareness. Preparedness is not about storing information. It is about sharpening perception. Have you learned to see through the smile and spot the threat beneath it? Have you learned to hear the tone that hides behind the compliment? Have you trained your instincts to recognize manipulation, not after it happens, but the moment it begins? The universe does not whisper secrets to the innocent. It only speaks to those who have suffered enough to finally listen. And when that moment comes, it does not hand you a crown. It gives you silence, isolation, a mirror, and a single, unspoken question. Now that you see how the world truly works, what will you do with this clarity? The people you once admired are no longer impressive. Their tricks are now transparent. Their power, you realize, is often an illusion backed by noise and fear. That's when the shift begins. The pain that once broke you now fuels your detachment. The silence you once feared becomes your greatest weapon. You no longer seek to be understood. You observe, you learn, you adapt, and you understand this chilling truth. Those who are not ready will not even understand what this video is about. They will scroll past it. They will call it too cold, too dark. But you stayed. Why? Because you've already begun to prepare. You've already lost enough to know that innocence doesn't protect you. Strategy does. Resilience does. Quiet strength does. The world does not open its doors to the knave. It watches them get devoured. But when you begin to see the patterns, when you stop complaining and start calculating, when you stop begging for fairness and begin mastering your environment, the universe starts to shift, not because it loves you, because now you are no longer a liability. You are a force, and forces move the world. They don't hand power to the desperate. They hand it to the proven. You want to rise. You want to command your world. But first, the universe must know, can you be trusted with power? Not trusted to be kind. Not trusted to be loyal. But trusted not to break when the pressure arrives. That's a very different kind of test. The universe is not sentimental. It is strategic. And strategy does not reward intentions. It rewards results. So here's what happens. Before life gives you access to the real power you crave, respect, influence, clarity, control, it sends trials that look like betrayal, loneliness, silence, and destruction. It rips everything away from you. It isolates you. It ruins your illusions. It strips you of your identity, your safety, your pride. And if you are weak, you will mistake this as punishment. You'll scream, "Why is this happening to me?" But those who are destined to lead understand the deeper truth. This is not punishment. It is a ritual, a brutal test, a simulation of death, not of your body, but of your old self. Because how can the world trust you with power if you cannot even govern your emotions? How can it trust you to rule others if you crumble under rejection, wilt under pressure, or break into pieces when someone lies to you? So the test begins. You lose things, jobs, lovers, friends. You lose your sense of direction. You are pushed into chaos, not to destroy you, but to examine what remains when everything unnecessary is taken away. Most people fail this test. They beg for comfort. They chase distractions. They run back to broken relationships just to avoid the silence. They abandon the path the moment it becomes hard. And so they return to mediocrity, to safety, to weakness. But you stayed. You endured the storm. You looked around when the dust settled and realized you were still standing, not because of luck, but because something in you refused to bow. That's when the universe takes notice. That's when the next level opens. See, people talk about manifesting greatness, but they forget the price. The price is suffering without self-pity. The price is walking through fire without screaming for help. The price is bleeding in silence while the world watches and offers you nothing. If you want to be trusted with power, you must learn to suffer like a king, quietly, strategically, with eyes open, because that's what separates the rulers from the ruled. The rules think power is about speaking loudly, about having followers, about being liked. But the truth is not concerned with any of this. They've already been through the storm, and they know power is not given. It is earned in the dark. You will be tested through betrayal, so the universe can see if you can move forward without revenge poisoning your mind. You will be tested through failure, so it can see if your ego survives being shattered. You will be tested through isolation, so it can see if you can walk alone without losing your vision. Every time you think you are being buried, understand that you are being measured. Every time the pain gets worse, know that the universe is watching, not to save you, but to assess you. It wants to see what you do when no one is looking, when no one is cheering, when no one is helping. Because anyone can pretend to be strong when things are easy. But only a rare breed can build their empire with trembling hands and a bleeding heart. And that's what separates the trusted from the tested. The test will always come before the reward. And that reward, it isn't money, it isn't love, it isn't praise, it's power. Power over yourself, power over your decisions, power over your time. But before you are trusted with such power, the universe will break you. It will push you to the brink again and again until you either rise or surrender, until you either grow sharper or give up. And the deeper the power you are meant to wield, the darker the trial you must endure. Most will retreat. Most will sell their soul for comfort. Most will ask life for peace before they've earned it. But the one who is chosen, the one who is trusted, is the one who walks through the fire with eyes open and mouth shut, knowing that pain is not the end. It is only the proof. Most people will never hear what I am about to say, not because it is hidden, but because they are not capable of hearing it. You think truth is something everyone wants. You believe people are searching for answers, for clarity, for wisdom. But observe them closely. They are not searching for the truth. They are searching for comfort. They want to be told that everything will work out, that being good is enough, that their pain has some divine meaning. And when something appears that challenges this illusion, they flinch, they scroll, they mock, they leave. Because harsh truths are only visible to those who have bled long enough to stop believing in beautiful lies. So, if this video has found you, understand what that means. You are no longer blind. You have been cracked open. You've started to question the stories you were raised on. You've looked around and noticed that the kindest people often suffer in silence, while the most ruthless rise to the top. You've begun to feel something shift, not outside, but within. A quiet awareness that maybe, just maybe everything you were told about life was wrong. That's why you're here. That's why you didn't look away. That's why you didn't run. Most are not ready for harsh truths, because to accept a harsh truth is to kill the soft lie it replaced. And for many, that lie is their entire identity. To accept that loyalty is often punished. To accept that people only respect what they fear losing. To accept that morality, when not paired with strength, becomes a weakness that predators seek out. These truths are not poetic. They are not soothing. They are not sold in self-help books or written in pretty fonts. These truths are dark, cold, and metallic. They don't hug you. They sharpen you. That's why people don't want them. They want to keep believing that if they are humble, they will be exalted. That if they give endlessly, someone will finally see their worth. That if they stay patient, the world will reward them. But look around. The world does not work that way. The world is ruled by structure, advantage, leverage, perception, not prayer. The innocent will say this video is cruel, but those who have been tested will say it is honest. And honesty is a mirror most people are terrified to face. Because the moment you face it, the moment you truly see yourself and the game you're in, you can no longer hide behind your excuses. You can no longer blame others for your lack of power. You realize you were not unlucky. You were unprepared. You were not rejected because you were too good. You were rejected because you didn't understand what people value. You were not overlooked because the world is broken. You were overlooked because you never learned to make yourself visible. And these realizations, they burn, but they also awaken. That's why this message is not for everyone. It is not meant to go viral. It is meant to go deep, into the soul of the one who is ready. Because only the ready can hear this without flinching. Only the ready can endure the coldness of truth without retreating into fantasy. Only the ready can trade comfort for clarity and still move forward. Those who are not ready will never see this video. Or they'll see it and forget it. Or worse, they'll hear the words but completely miss the meaning. Because they are still addicted to their illusions, still waiting for the world to bend to their kindness, still hoping that someday someone will come save them. But no one is coming. There is no rescue, no miracle, no reward for your patience if that patience is not paired with action. Truth is brutal, and most people, deep down, are not built for brutality. They don't want to know that love can be used as a weapon. They don't want to know that forgiveness is often a trap. They don't want to know that silence speaks louder than apologies. So they pretend. They build little castles out of hope. They decorate their suffering with spiritual quotes. They surround themselves with those who will never challenge them. And in doing so, they ensure they never evolve. But if you're still listening, you are not one of them. You didn't click away. You didn't look for softness. You stayed. You leaned in, you listened. Not because it feels good, but because you finally understand comfort is the enemy of transformation. And truth, real truth, doesn't care how you feel. It only cares whether you are ready to carry its weight without breaking. You've spent most of your life chasing ghosts, approval, validation, recognition. You wanted to be seen. You wanted to be accepted. So you made yourself smaller, softer, quieter. You dressed your ambition in humility. You buried your strength beneath politeness. You broke yourself into pieces that would fit the comfort of others. And what did it get you? Did they love you more? Did they respect you? Did they reward your sacrifice with loyalty or admiration? No, they ignored you, used you, forgot you. Because the harsh truth is this: the world does not respect those who seek its approval. It only bows to those who no longer need it. Power begins the moment you stop asking the world to like you. This is the truth the weak can't swallow. Because approval feels good. It's addictive. It gives the illusion of safety, the illusion of belonging. But those who seek approval become prisoners of perception. They live not by their own values, but by the reactions of others. You post something, you wait for likes. You say something, you wait for agreement. You live, but only if someone else is watching. That is not living, that is performance. And performance is the death of authenticity. But you were not born to perform. You were born to command, to shape the world in your image, to leave behind a legacy carved from truth, not consensus. So why do so many chase approval? Because they were trained to. From childhood, you were rewarded when you obeyed, punished when you defied. They taught you that love is conditional, that silence is safer than truth, that blending in is better than standing out. So you adapted. You became likable, tolerable, forgettable. But somewhere inside, a rebellion began, a voice that whispered, "This is not who I am." That voice is why you're here. That voice is your real self, not the mask you show the world. And that voice wants power, not over others, first over yourself. Because as long as you need approval, you are owned. Your thoughts are not yours. Your actions are filtered. Your emotions are manipulated. The man who needs nothing cannot be controlled. And that terrifies people. That's why they'll call you arrogant when you stop explaining yourself. They'll call you selfish when you say no. They'll say you've changed when you finally become who you were meant to be. But let them talk. Power does not beg for understanding. It does not argue with the blind. It moves, silently, decisively, unapologetically. You don't need them to clap. You don't need them to agree. You don't need them to say you're right. Because the moment you stop needing them, you rise above them. The powerful walk alone. Not because they hate people, but because they do not depend on them for purpose. They choose allies, not saviors. They respect loyalty, but they are not broken by betrayal. This is the shift that changes everything. The shift from seeking to shaping, from pleasing to leading, from doubting to deciding. People feel this energy before you even speak. They feel the weight of someone who is not looking for applause. They sense the presence of someone who will not bend. And whether they admit it or not, they respect it. Because power is not loud, it still is. You don't need to shout to be heard when your presence speaks for you. You don't need to chase people when your detachment commands their attention. And the world, twisted as it is, always bows. Not to the most kind, but to the most certain. That certainty only comes when you stop shaping yourself to be accepted. You're not here to be digestible. You're here to be undeniable. And you will be the moment you stop asking for permission to exist. The moment you realize that their opinions cannot touch you unless you give them permission. That their validation cannot define you unless you are still waiting for it. Approval is the currency of the powerless. They spend their entire lives trying to earn it. But the powerful, they burn it. They walk through fire without asking if the crowd approves of the smoke. Because once you stop needing the world's applause, you're finally free to play the game the way it was meant to be played. Quiet. Sharp. On your terms. So now you understand. This video did not appear by chance. It arrived when your illusions had crumbled, when your pain had matured, and when your silence had become louder than your screams. It appeared when the universe saw that you no longer needed to be comforted, but confronted. You were never weak. You were simply unprepared. And now everything that once broke you is beginning to build you. The world does not reward the innocent. It tests them. It does not nurture the kind. It challenges them. And it does not elevate the good. It selects the prepared, the clear, the cold, and the aware. You will be tested before you are trusted. Most people will never even see the test. But you saw it. You felt it. And you stayed long enough to hear what only the few are allowed to hear. You have been stripped of your need for approval. You have lost the luxury of being blind. And now you no longer chase meaning. You create it. This is not motivation. This is war. And you are ready, not to be saved, but to conquer silently.